Hello, community. My name is Paul Cummings, CEO and founder of Whole Cyber Human Initiative. Today, I want to talk to you about the Whole Cyber Human Initiative Community Challenge. And this is going to be the beginner's guide. We launched it early this year, actually January 1st. Really hasn't got a lot of traction, and a lot of the feedback I got was it came off very intense, and people didn't know if they could do it by themselves. So in this, we're going to talk about the story behind the challenge, the tools needed or recommended, the types of reports, where to find help, project stages, and your project goals. So the story is you work for a Fortune 500 company. You've been tasked to set up a new baseline Windows system to deploy across an enterprise network consisting of 2,000 Windows workstations. Now, the scenario could be a multitude of things about your creativity. You can be showing up to a place where they may have let go all the security admins, all the security analysts, all the cybersecurity analysts. Or maybe you're coming in as a consultant and everybody's sidelined while you're doing incident response. Tools. This isn't an all-inclusive list. These are just recommended type tools that you could absolutely get away with doing this with. First is going to be your VM player of choice, a Windows VM, unpatched Windows VM, a Kali VM, Autopsy, free SIEM of choice, Wireshark, OpenVAS, or any other reputable vulnerability scanner, FTK Imager, SIFT-VM. Now, when we talk about this, there are unpatched Windows VMs that you can Google. So be creative or reach out to people and figure out if they already have some of these already made. The Kali doesn't necessarily have to be Kali. If your preference is a different type of Debian or a different type of Linux distro, go for it. Same thing with the incident response tools, Autopsy, FTK Imager, SIFT-VM, whatever. Free SIEM of choice. Again, there's multiple ways around that. Splunk, for instance, you can download Enterprise Edition for up to 60 days per email that you sign up with. So, I mean, there's that. The types of reports that you are going to do are going to be like a blue team report, to include CVE scores, remediations, risk analysis, business impact. Include deadlines to remediate based on CVE levels. Again, there are templates in the wild. There are professionals that give back to the community. Maybe you might want to talk to a blue teamer that already knows how to do this. It is a team sport. That's what we did. That's the name of the game of cyber. In Red Team, you're going to build out your Red Team assessment report, and that's going to include the reversing of your presence, covering your tracks. Again, this might not be something you would go to for a pen tester, but maybe in a Red Team operator that's actually covered their tracks before. The forensics report, you're going to launch your IR workstation or the VM that you want to use and begin to conduct your incident response. As long as you remember that you had to take an FTK image of that unpatched Windows VM that you exploited during your Red Team. Your GRC report, knowing that you work for a Fortune 500 company, you're going to generate a GRC compliance report or a business impact report. You're going to explain what the financial impact of your findings and why it is crucial for all 2,000 enterprise assets to be either taken offline or patched systematically. Now, when you think of this, this is something that, yes, you got one machine, right? You have to think creatively how that one machine is going to affect the other 1,999. So an example of this I will give you is going to be, think of when you get to the hardening portion, how long it takes you to patch all the vulnerabilities that you found during your assessment. And then multiply that by 1,999. Then also, again, you work for a Fortune 500 company. What's the financial impact for a company that produces $1 million worth of revenue daily. And this is going to go into your POAM. Speaking of the POAM, now that all assets have been baselined and brought back up running smoothly, you're now tasked by your CISO to build a POAM to include training requirements and steps to what needs to happen so this doesn't happen again. Your POAM, just like any POAM, needs to include dates required for compliance and remediation. There's many ways to do a plan of action and milestones. Things that I've done in the past have been providing 3 courses of action. Course of action 1, hey, this is so detrimental, we have to take everything offline and we're going to be out of money for this amount of time. Course of action 2, we need to keep revenue coming in. So which departments can I take offline now to get patched and then systematically do the elements later? Or maybe you want to go balls to the wall and you are for a solid week going to patch each department day by day. Again, be as creative as you can. And this is where you really start to leverage the community. Start talking to the project managers or the regional directors for an MSP or an operations center. Then you got your chain of custody report. So, we alluded to it on the incident response report or your forensics report, but you have to remember to observe proper chain of custody and evidence collection and preservation. When these reports, if an IR goes to court, you have to have a transfer log and possibly even a copy of your analyst notebook, which really comes in handy for your personal scribe using something like a timekeeper or something like that when you are hands-on keyboard pen testing this VM. That way, when you present in a court, you can show without a doubt that is you doing all those steps. Where to get help? Keep saying cybersecurity is a team sport. So this challenge is designed for you to network. It's to make those connections. If you're trying to be a SOC analyst, talk to some SOC personnel that have done this. Maybe they might already have home labs built on it. Work together. If you are looking to do blue team and you have a grasp on this, work with somebody that's in red team or trying to be in red team to work together. This is absolutely going to be a part of our scholarship where we are going to offer up 20 certification vouchers up to $400 each later to be discussed. But this is designed for you to get out of your comfort zone, get you used to the unknown, live in the unknown, live in the uncertainty. So the project stage, this is just an example, right? You don't have to necessarily create a GenHub or GitHub. You don't have to necessarily create a LinkedIn article. It's whatever mechanism you want to showcase your write-ups of doing this challenge. Stage 2, using the LinkedIn algorithm, tag people, use those hashtags, tag those companies that you want to work for. And then finally making that LinkedIn post of completion. Now you do not have to wait until all 6 reports are done before you do your LinkedIn post. Let's say you knock out the general vulnerability assessment, not necessarily the blue team, and you share that. I recently took part in Whole Cyber Human Initiatives Community Challenge. In this part of the challenge, I did a security vulnerability, threat vulnerability management assessment against this machine that I was to baseline to launch across an enterprise network. But inside the PDF that we are going to be getting to, it's going to we'll really break it down further. So lastly, the project goals. Really, this project is to expand your knowledge, showcase your knowledge. It's about deliverability and how to showcase your ability to deliver reports. This doesn't necessarily have to be a black and white presentation. Again, be as creative as you can. Maybe you want to do like I'm doing, have a video in the bottom of the screen and record yourself like you're delivering this to a stakeholder meeting. And then the method behind this is you're branding yourself globally. You are letting the world know that you have obtained this knowledge and you know how to put it in action. So now that we're done with that, let's jump over to the actual community challenge. So the premise is you've been crushing your education, earning your certifications, earning badges, trying to get your foot in the door into a cybersecurity job. However, you're falling short by either applications or interviews. This community challenge is designed to set you apart from the crowd and really sell the knowledge you have gained in 2021 and 2022. This doesn't necessarily have to be gated to 1 year. While many will participate, you have your own flavor, you have your own flair, and your own analytic style. This challenge is not of a single color of the InfoSec color wheel. It will test you against white, orange, blue, red, and purple team concepts. Tools you need in order to participate are as follows: VMware of choice, Windows VM, unpatched Windows VM, Kali or some other pen test VM, Autopsy or some kind of other IR type tooling, the free SIEM of choice, Wireshark, OpenVAS, or another reputable vulnerability scanner. Nessus actually has a free version, just saying. FTK Imager and SIFT-VM. We already talked about the story, but let's break it down further. The unpatched Windows VM is a machine you choose to be your starting point. You have to test your workstation. With your patched Windows VM at your disposal, a Kali distro VM or any kind of pen test distro VM, and a SIFT or other IR VM loaded with the tools above, you are tasked with conducting a full vulnerability assessment to include a live packet capture of your localized pen test and deliver the following reports. Again, all reports have templates. We talked about the different types of reports already. So the challenge begins. You're going to install your unpatched Windows VM. You're going to scan that unpatched Windows VM with your test workstation, your real Windows VM or your Windows workstation. And you're going to start generating your security analyst reports. You got your blue team vulnerability report to include CVE scores, remediation, risk analysis, business impact, and stuff like that. You're going to launch your SIEM tool and begin scanning the unpatched Windows VM. Maybe there's something in there that's already calling out. You're going to launch your pen test distro of choice. And using the tools at your disposal, you're going to begin your red team assessment. All right, this goes back to having that SIEM and Wireshark open and scanning while you pen test this unpatched Windows VM. And remember, be sure to conduct your enumeration, right? So this is going to challenge you to understand how to create that bridged or NAT VM architecture. And remember that analysts take detailed notes on every step they take. For instance, if I'm doing blue team and I might have enumeration as a part of it or port scans, I am making detailed notes of what I am doing. The reason behind that is obviously your incident response report. You want to be able to show without a doubt, this is you and it's not an adversary that might be on the network already. So using the vulnerabilities identified in your blue team report, you're going to attempt to gain exploit or gain persistence and exploit on the unpatched Windows VM. Then using the MITRE ATT&CK navigator to map out your attack, visualize the steps from your red team assessment, Create a MITRE ATT&CK matrix utilizing the tactics, techniques, and procedures found in your MITRE Navigator. And be sure to add your matrices to your reports. Now back out of the unpatched Windows VM and clean up your traces of presence. That is key. For a red team operator, you need to understand how to cover your tracks. This can be something as simple as, well, I'm not going to say simple, but date stamping, files that you touch, or anything like that. Log files, going to the event viewer and time stamping those, stuff like that. Now you're going to switch over to your SIEM or the VM that has your SIEM, and you're going to begin parsing that data and carving out the packets to do a deep dive using like Wireshark. And the goal is you're going to identify you attacking the unpatched Windows VM from start to finish to include any pertinent information. Now the information is going to come in later. Then you're going to build out your actual red team assessment report to include your the reversing of your presence. Now you're going to launch your SIFT workstation or any other incident response workstation and begin to conduct your incident response. Remember to be sure to do that FTK image. And remember, you also have to observe proper chain of custody. So the goal is you have your blue team report, you watched yourself pen test this network, so these artifacts should come naturally easy for you to find. It's going to get you that muscle memory to really understand what to start looking for when it comes to these types of nuggets. So use Autopsy or use some other type of tool to carve out your artifacts that you're finding and start building a report. Utilize open source intelligence, identify the TTPs used in your attack, and identify if any APT currently or has previously used them before. Then you can finish your forensics report. Be clear in your steps and act as if you're presenting in court. This workstation is now tainted. Now you're going to begin to harden it. This is where you're going to use something like the scan patch methodology until it's hardened. This is also where I alluded that you need to understand how long it takes for these patches to happen. So if a computer reboots, during the middle of a patch, start noting how long it takes until the scan patch comes back where it's completely patched and hardened. So now that you've done that, you're going to start getting ready to prepare and present your findings. So knowing that you work for a Fortune 500 company, now you're to start doing your GRC compliance report based on your findings. Now your POAM is going to be a part of this. So what is the financial impact of your findings and why is it crucial for all 2,000 enterprise assets be either taken offline or patched systematically? Include estimated downtime for company that produces $1 million worth of revenue daily. How long will this take? What is the cost if remediation doesn't happen? Again, be creative. There's been a lot of data breaches that you can kind of use. What compliances have not been upheld? What is this all assets that are affected? Where's the graph? The executive C-suite loves their graph. Do we need to let our clients and customers know? Again, this goes back to a lot of different companies have different preferences. Some believe in 100% transparency with the world and the client, or some people like to hold it under and fix it before it's known. Just don't do like the Uber thing where, a guy got found out that he was hiding data breaches. So the stakeholders like your GRC report. They say, yes, we need to act now. All clients and customers have been notified and you begin to baseline your enterprise workstations from your newly hardened workstation. What are some of the steps that need to happen to ensure you don't have duplicate IPs running wild across your network? Something as simple as changing the SSID when you create that VM. It's the same concept when you make a clone of an image that you're going to push across a network for a baseline, making sure you change that SSID and IP placements. Now that all assets have been baselined and businesses back up and running smoothly, you are now tasked by your CISO to build a POAM to include your training requirements and steps that needs to happen so this doesn't happen again. Include dates required for compliance. POAMs always have dates, even if they're estimated. Your CISO has now tasked you with creating standard operating procedure for patch management. This is going to challenge you to write an official standard operating procedure of steps to do patch mitigation. They may or may not already exist in the wild. Now, when we get to the completion portion, you're either to create that LinkedIn article or generate a GitHub page or a blog or your personal page or even a YouTube video to present the report, and also share a PDF of your report in your LinkedIn post. In your LinkedIn post, you're going to say, I recently completed the whole Cyberhuman Initiative Challenge. I'm proud to present what I learned and accomplished. Again, you can do this for each report individually, or go from there, right? If you want to do it all at once, then do it all at once. But I will say that a lot of hiring managers I've talked to about this community challenge love it, and they would like to hire people that have this breadth of knowledge and be an ability to do these types of reports and research. Then you're going to tag whole Cyberhuman Initiative. You're going to tag Cybersecurity Central, InfoSec Live. You're going to tag all the whole Cyber Initiative board of directors and advisors, and tag all training companies or communities that helped you along the way. Example, Try Hack Me, TCM, INE, With You With Me, Range Force, and so on. Then you're going to finish your post by tagging 10 companies you wish to work for. Yes, it comes off intense, but hopefully me breaking this down in video format has given you a little bit more clarity behind it and guidance, really, to understand. Really, it's not as hard as you think it is if you work together, especially if you're in multiple discords like Simply Cyber, Cybersecurity, Cyber Mentor Dojo, maybe on the InfoSec Live platform, maybe on the With You With Me platform, or INE's cyber and security. The community is here. There's mentors, there's practitioners that all want to help you, because eventually we want to retire. Let's be honest, can't do this forever. But I will say the rules of engagement on the original post is the board of directors are off limits for help, right? If we were offering help, we would actually just give you the keys of the kingdom and start doing it yourself. But this is not about us giving you the nuggets. It's about you actually getting out of your comfort zone, breaking that introvertedness, talking to people. Get out of your comfort zone and actually networking with people. Do it effectively. Make those meaningful connections. Reaching out to people like Cyber Warrior Studios. Nobody else is off limits. There's some CISOs that might actually want to help you with this. There might be director levels that want to help you with this. There might be other practitioners that are looking to jump ship from one role into a new, and you might be able to help them by bridging that gap. Again, this is about community. Cybersecurity is about community. As a community, we can ensure that these businesses are protected. On that, my name is Paul Cummings, and I'm signing off.